Hey, besties. Let's throw some shade, honey. You ready to get into it? Wow. There was some hard truths in this episode. Tamar and Tawanda, they got some work to do. And I'm glad Trina decided to talk because how you not ready to talk when you ask the grief counselor to come? You got to get it started, girl. You have the experience. You've gone through this with Gabe. Somebody got to start somewhere, so I'm glad we got it going. Okay, besties, what am I talking about? I am back behind the shade. How are you? Let's throw some shade, some kind shade, in the new episode of the Braxtons, season 1, episode 2. Healing takes time, and it does. How would you rate this show if you took time to watch it? How would you rate this show? I guess I don't think we can rate these episodes. It's not a rateable episode because it's so tough and hard to watch and be crying and we're mourning, we're grieving the loss of Tracy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I miss her on my TV. It's weird to see that there's one person missing. So let's get into it. Let's get into it, besties. Okay, so the grief counselor looks at Evelyn, Miss E, as she likes to be called in this particular uh, season, episode, show. And you, Mom, Miss E feels pain for Kevin. She says she almost lost Tracy 3 times when she was pregnant with her. But this time she couldn't save her. Did you guys cry right there? Because I did. Then this time, she said she prayed that God would take her because she was so ill. Do you know that how hard that is for a mother to have to do? Do you know how hard that is for a mother to have to say and say it in front of her other kids and say it in front of a production team and say it to a grief counselor and say it to national television? She told us that. She's talking to other elderly mothers who may have lost or going through the same thing of losing a child. Like, that was big to say that you had prayed to God, like, take her. She is in pain. Oh my God, that was just so tough. And I felt so much hurt for Evelyn. She's hurting for Kevin. I'm hurting for you, Miss E. In this moment, I'm hurting for you. She said it was hard to see her suffer. And she said now Tracy visits her and she knows she'll be with Tracy again. And that's kind of made it somber. Tracy was stage 3 when she was diagnosed with her esophageal cancer. So then they show more videos of the sisters with Tracy. They're dancing, they're laughing, they're twerking. Was that Tony twerking? Oh, fast tail girl. I think that was Tony. Tony twerking. They having pajama jams and parties and karaoke and playing cards, and they said they watched a lot of Judge Judy. And so Tamar said that Tracy gave her turkey wings recipe and she's the only one that has it. And honey, I'm gonna tell you guys, it is so important when you know someone can cook something so good. Ask them for the recipe because one day they're not going to be here and you will really understand and appreciate having the recipe. I lost my grandma, I was young, and she used to make the best biscuits from scratch. And it took a while. And not to say that I would make them from scratch, not to say that I was going to sit there, I'm not going to do that, but I wish I would have had the recipe. But at the same time, we all know their grandmas from back in the day didn't have a recipe. Probably they just did it from, they let the ancestors help them. So, but it's important so from that experience, I collect recipes from people who make something really bomb. I'm like, what's the recipe? They don't mind. They will give it to you. I learned my lesson. So Tamar has Tracy's turkey wing recipe, and I'll tell you, if you guys feel like, oh, turkey wings, they too dry, and I'm gonna give you my recipe, and it's just this simple. Add more water to the crock pot. Keep adding water to the crock pot. Your turkey wings will turn out moist and they will fall off the bone. Trust me on that one. And they also talked about Tracy's motorcycles. And her favorite movie was The Princess and the Frog. So she told her mother, there was a video where this was another tearjerker. She was telling Miss E how much she loved her and told her she was the best mother. They're sitting on a bench outside and they're just, you could tell they had a talk, a heart to heart. Oh, so touching to even have all this footage still. So, and they all said, Tracy was a fighter. And we do know that, honey, because Tracy didn't play. So Trina is the best. She said it was just from her not a confession, but from her pouring out, it was just the best. She said it was the hardest thing she has ever done in her life, because we learned last week that she was there when Tracy took her last breath. Trina said that she would do it all over again. I was like, wow, sister. Trina is like the best. The best. She's a beacon of the family. She is just the heart of the family. So the grief counselor asked her, so where are you in your process? And so they're like, huh? So she's like, so she explains grief is connected to everything. So when you can't say something and you don't want to talk about it, it's not therapeutic. Like you're not moving in your process. You're not processing. You're just stuck. So Trina says she's not free at all. Tawanda told her that she was not strong enough to go watch Tracy take her last breath. She was like, you shouldn't be there. You can't handle it. And she said, yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I know what I'm doing. I'm going to be there. And now she knows that she wasn't. She's too sensitive. And so Tawanda said, I knew she's sensitive and I knew that would scar her forever. And, so Trina's like, I just saw her inch by inch, breaking down, shutting down, I'll say, shutting down. And she said she saw inch by inch by inch by inch. And she can't lose weight because she ate her emotions. She said if Trina needs to drink 12 martinis, then that's what Trina is going to do. And so she's like, why are you doing that? She said, it's satisfying. It allows me to separate myself from the pain. And I said, wow, that was a word. That was a word. She said she can't sleep. She doesn't want to sleep in the darkness. She doesn't want darkness on her. She sees the green kimono that Tracy had on, I guess, when she passed. She sees that green kimono every day. She doesn't know what to do with the noise in her head. She sleeps with the TV on. Sometimes it has to be on so she just doesn't feel alone. So the grief counselor says she also has PTSD, and she's going to help her with treatment for that, because she's not only grieving the loss, she's grieving, has post-traumatic syndrome from seeing her pass away. So Trina's telling us she went to Tamar's concert. And when Tamar did the dedication to Tracy, she said she turned to mush. She said, I don't know how Tamar continued her show. And so Tamar said Tamar has had her grief counseling too. So she said, this is how I grieve, through music, through honoring her, probably being around a whole bunch of people clapping and sharing. That's how she grieves. So it's Tawanda's turn. Tawanda says she grieves differently. She knows she's still here. Spirits don't die. She knows she's not here in the physical, but she still talks to her. She still has her moments, but she feels her energy. So the grief counselor asked them, what are you feeling about where you guys are? Trina said they are not connected anymore. And they show a video of Tracy in the Braxton Family Values clips of her being really funny. Like she just saying the funniest stuff, doing the funniest things, checking folks, just being Tracy. And so they really realized that Tracy was the glue of the family. And so now it's Tony's turn. And so Tony says she's in an angry state. That's the stage of grief she's in, an angry stage. She just has not accepted this yet. She has not accepted. Now, mind you, it's going on 2 years, you guys. So I'm pointing that out there, that you can't put a timeline on grief. So it's been almost 2 years, and Tony is still not accepting that her sister is not here. You can easily slip into that. It's a block that you put up. When you don't feel like dealing with it, you block it in a sort of a form, but I'm not a therapist. So she feels her role in the family is that she's the strong one, so she can't be vulnerable. That is a tough something to say, because she's the oldest. So she says, I'm super sister. Like, I have to worry about everybody else. I can't worry about me because I'm worried about everybody else. And that is not cool. That is not cool. So she said she was angry at God. That is totally a grief stage. Totally. And she said she just felt like it wasn't fair that her sister passed first. Because remember, Tony is the oldest and she was the sickest. She suffers from a bad case of lupus. And so she says she uses medicine to self-medicate. We don't know if she uses her music or just other people's music, but she used music to self-medicate. She goes to the time before she was successful. This is where she goes. She says there's peace there. There's hope. Like she hopes she breaks into the industry. She hopes she does good in this career. So she goes before she became a superstar, where there was no responsibilities, none of that. She could just be Tony, not Tony Braxton. So she also says, oh, this was strong. She said the parents did a good job of having core family values, but they did not do good at teaching them how to live as individuals. Baby, I was like, whoo, Tony said a lot. Tony, if you watch Braxton Family Values, you felt this. Because, baby, they used to go through it. And this is why. They don't know how to live individually. They all got to be connected to each other, or it's just some problems, right? So she said they always had to be responsible for each other, like you feel about your children. She said she had to learn how to put her children first because she used to put her sisters ahead of her kids. This has been embedded in them. Whoo. So Tawanda asked Dad, she said, wait, cut, let's stop. Let's ask Dad and Kevin Jr. how they feel. Because remember, they're on the Zoom calls. They're listening on Zoom. So Dad says, and I like what he said. He said, I'm learning what the family is going through so that I can be a part of their healing process. He was a pastor, so that's a part of his, his repertoire. So he's like, he wants to be there for his family. He want to be there, but I wish another question was asked about his process. Because, men need to know that they can cry. They need to know it's totally okay to be not strong, we'll say. You know what I'm saying? I wish another question would be asked of him. because we got to remember he lost a child and he lived close to Tracy. They live in the Maryland area, so they were closer, very close. You even saw a clip where he's whispering to Tracy, telling her she's his favorite. Child, wait, what? I'm surprised Tamar even has something to say. But I think siblings know who the favorites are. I think. I don't know. Not my ministry. Okay, y'all. Let's take a deep breath, cause baby, and let's kind of have like a moment of silence for Tracy, cause whoo, trigger. Okay, let's do it. Moment of silence for Tracy. Then they asked Kevin Jr., like, how's he dealing with it? He says he's hurt every day. He lost a big part of himself. He's grieving the loss of his mom, and now he's grieving his divorce. Like, now he's getting divorced. And he says it's hard to adjust when your wife told your mom that she was going to be by his side through all of this, and then a year and a half later she serves him papers. It's hard. He says, "Hold on." Then as some ruckus is going on, Tamar says it sounds like the police is at his house. Then he comes back to the video call and says, "I have to call you back." Tamar's asking questions. Tawanda don't want to tell his business on camera. Miss E tells Tawanda to go check on him. She leaves, goes to the kitchen, calls him. Cameraman follows. She's telling him, breathe, nephew. Arrested. What did they say? What was the charge? Things of that nature. And then the dad hung up too. And Trina said, oh, dad's gone too. Well, of course he's gone. He got up, put his hat on, got his keys and his coat, and he's going to his grandson's house. Yes, he did what he was supposed to do. Tamara tells the rest. Who is Tamara? Is that supposed to be Tamar? Okay, so Tamar tells the rest of the girls, it's just Tony, Trina, and the mom on the couch. And she just says, there are just so many secrets. So Trina's like, it's Kevin's business. It's not for us to say. This is not the forum. She always got the strong words that don't even match what's going on. But this is not the forum, Tamar. This is not the forum. Stop spazzing out, asking questions about little Kevin. This is not the forum. This show is for us to heal. Don't you bring my nephew's business in front of these cameras on this show about these people. Leave him out of it. Because Tamar could work a nerve. And she's the baby. And it's just, I'll be waiting on Evelyn to say something, and she doesn't. I think mamas get to a certain age, and they just over it. I guess they feel they can't. It ain't worked all these years. They gonna stop. I guess they get tired of the nonsense. So Tony's like, she wishes she could answer the questions, whatever. But no. So back. So the grief counselor was like, so what's your process? So Tony wishes she could answer that. And so she goes and say how Tamar is the youngest sister, so they tend not to tell her stuff. So Tawanda's back on the couch, and clearly he got arrested because he had a warrant. And Tawanda thinks someone set him up, because who would know that he would be home at that time having a grief session, and all of a sudden the police shows up. So clearly he was set up. Tony's trying to end the session now because the energy is off, because everyone's worried about little Kevin Jr. And so, but baby, Tamar says she has no desire to beg. Just all out the blue. I have no desire to beg. And so in her confessional, she discusses her boundaries and how remaining physically and mentally healthy for her child, and her loved ones is her priority. So Tony asked for her explanation. She's like, Beg for what? What are you saying? You don't have a desire to beg. So Tamar's like, I don't beg for sisterhood anymore, friendship, or time. So Tony tells Tamar she apologizes if she ever made her feel that way. And so Tony says there are some times when she just doesn't understand Tamar. Girl, say that, say less, okay? Do Tamar understand Tamar? So she says she don't understand Tamar sometimes, but she tries. So Trina says she comes to Tamar every time she calls, texts, whatever. She comes. So Trina is like, so who are you talking about? Like, tell it to them, not all of us. Like we're not all a whole thing here. Break it down and talk to the person you're talking about. So Tawanda says you have to respect people's boundaries and where they are. So the grief counselor says, respect is a boundary. How does it feel when there's a boundary there that says you don't get access to me? And Tawanda just would not answer this question. She is a true Virgo. When they think how they think, that's how they think. You can't tell them, change them, add, explain, encourage, teach. They will not take it. Okay, here's what I mean. Tamar says, be honest. She's talking to Tawanda. Tawanda says it's not connected to a feeling. Maybe numb because it's not good and it's not positive and it's not negative. So the grief counselor is like, okay, so numb is a feeling, it shuts the body down because what we feel is overwhelming, so we block it. Tawanda's like, nope, it's not blocked. It's not blocked. I said, boy, this girl is a true Virgo. Virgos, y'all, don't come for me because I'm telling the truth. Can't nobody tell y'all nothing. 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 But y'all good people. Some of my favorite peoples are Virgos. But y'all are y'all can't tell you nothing. Whew, let me take a sip of water because baby, I think I'm triggered. It's not blocked. It's not blocked. Tamar said, keep it gangsta. The feeling is mutual, dog. Keep it gangsta, dog. I was like, Tamar. Tawanda says, it's just, I respect where people are. She doesn't engage in different energies. She makes different choices in her life now. Tamar laughing and says, this is all TV talk. I was like, dang, you just busted out your sister like that. Goodness, Tamar, you are a brat. Like, you are a brat. A brat. Tamar, you are a brat. Aren't you almost 50? How old is Tamar? She is a brat. Not a brat, but a brat. That's something that Tracy would have said. So they going back and forth about, well, besides today and yesterday, when was the last time you talked to me? And then here go Tawanda. Well, you didn't call me on my birthday. So Tamar laughing. Well, it's March. Your birthday was in September. So clearly she don't recall because Tamar didn't call her on her birthday. That's all she could say. So back and forth and back. It says, I did call you. And so Tamar said, that's because we're taping now. More back and forth. Tawanda's listening to every word that Tamar says. I'm listening to every word you're saying. She's not agreeing. She's not taking any accountability. And so Tawanda in her confessional says she has receipts that she calls and texts Tamar, but she don't feel like she needs to do all that because you don't have no receipts. What receipts do you have? A text message? So Tamar is like, no. And she's like, oh, this is so exhausting. So Miss E has to break it up with her little, she got to get on her soapbox. I am tired of this. I am tired of this. Again, I care about you. I lost a child. Okay, did y'all cry right there? Because that's where another tear should have fell out your eyeball. What if one of you guys leave here and you guys are unalived? Another tear jerker. Life is too short. Oh, goodness. Tell her what's wrong. It's too much. They all get quiet like little girls. Remember, Tracy says she will haunt you if y'all continue to argue. I'm tired of asking God to have forgiveness so you guys can have forgiveness. I'm tired of going to God about talking about y'all. Oh, so she gets up, honey. She goes in the kitchen. She go check on the oxtails. And so she tells us, was it in a confessional? Yes. She tells us, I can't fix them. And she said it's not her job. She said she's not a fixer. She's a mother. But she is very disappointed in them. So she tells the grief counselor she's disappointed in them when she comes back. And the grief counselor tells her, to stay hopeful. She says you got to be willing to change and take accountability. Tawanda, Trina, and Tamar, it's them, it's all of them. So let me go ahead and say, well, Trina says she do her job, and Tony, she apologized. So I am talking to Tawanda, because Tamar brought it up as her issue, and she's talking to Tawanda, and Tawanda is just defending herself. Okay. So Trina says, when you talk to the grief counselor, it gives you the freedom to move forward. And girl, Trina, I couldn't agree with you more. That is what you have to do in grief, besties. You have to get into a space, and it takes time, but the outcome is for you to move forward. When or how is you part of how you get what you have to do to get there, but the end result is to move forward, and life forces you to. It's just how life is. Oh, that was a word, Trina. That was a word. Another word, Trina. So Tony says Tracy wanted them to go to grief counseling to pull each other back together through these pains and triggers, and that was the benediction. Let's say amen and amen. That was the end of the episode, besties. It was good. I guess this whole part of maybe season 1 will be grief counseling, and that's fine because we all need it. Little do you know, remember the grief counselor said this is all connected? We're crying for them, for Tracy, and our own grief. Trust and believe that. And I believe you on that, because that's that on that. We are grieving our own grievances too, baby. They're all connected. And I'm going to leave you on that. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and put your comments down there. We're not gonna grade. We're not gonna do a grade with these shows. We're just gonna like it or not like it. And I'll see you guys on the next video, besties. Bye.